Have you ever felt your emotions grab the steering wheel, like you are sitting in the passenger seat of your own life? Watching yourself say the thing you promised you would not say, watching yourself spiral, watching yourself shut down. If yes, stay with me, because the truth is not that you are broken. The truth is that your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do, just sometimes in the wrong setting, at the wrong volume. Today, we are going to unpack why emotions feel uncontrollable, and how to regain control without forcing, without pretending, without blaming yourself. Not by becoming a robot, but by becoming fluent in what your brain is trying to protect. Imagine this. You are doing fine all day. Then one tiny moment hits a message comes in, just one line. Or a professor says your name in front of the whole class. Or someone you care about goes quiet, and suddenly your chest tightens. Your mind starts sprinting, your stomach drops, your body goes hot, and you can almost feel the switch flip. And the worst part is not the feeling. The worst part is the voice that shows up right after. Why am I like this? Why can't I just calm down? Why do I always ruin things? If you have ever asked those questions, this episode is for you. Here is the first big idea, and it is going to sound almost too simple. Emotions feel uncontrollable because they start in your body before they become words in your mind. Most people think it goes like this. Something happens, you think about it, then you feel. But a lot of the time it goes like this instead. Something happens, your nervous system reacts, then your mind catches up and explains what is happening. So when you try to control the feeling using logic, it can feel like you are trying to stop a train with your hands. Because the train already left the station. You are not late to the party because you are weak. You are late because your body's alarm system moves faster than your thinking system. Let's make that real with a story. You are studying late, you are tired, you open your grade portal, and you see a number that is lower than you expected. Your brain does not calmly calculate next steps. It reacts. Your heart speeds up, your breathing changes, your shoulders tense, your face gets warm. Before you even finish reading the page, your body has already decided. This is dangerous. Not physical danger, but identity danger. I might fail. I might disappoint people. I might not be who I thought I was. And then your thoughts rush in, like reporters chasing a headline, trying to explain the emotional fire that already started. That is why it feels like the emotion came out of nowhere. Because it did not come from nowhere. It came from a system that does not ask permission. So what is that system? Think of it like a smoke detector. Your brain has built-in circuitry, whose job is to detect threat fast, even if it is wrong sometimes. Because evolution does not reward the calm person who debates the tiger. It rewards the person who runs first and asks questions later. In modern life, the tiger is rarely a tiger. It is a look on someone's face. A tone in a text. A memory. A deadline. A silence. But your brain can respond as if the threat is life or death. That does not mean you are dramatic. It means you are human. And once your smoke detector goes off, your whole system changes modes. Your body prepares to fight, flee, freeze, or please. Now, here is where people get stuck. They think emotional regulation means shutting the alarm off. But regulation is not the same as elimination. You do not need a life with no smoke detector. You need a smoke detector that does not scream every time you make toast. So the goal is not to erase your emotions. The goal is to understand them, lower the volume, and choose your next move with more clarity. That is the difference between being controlled by emotion and being guided by emotion. One is panic. The other is information. Let's talk about why your thinking gets weird during intense emotion. When your threat system activates, your brain shifts resources away from slow, thoughtful processing. It prioritizes speed and survival. So the parts of you that normally plan, reflect, and see nuance can go offline for a moment. That is why you can know something logically, and still not feel it. You can know you are safe, and still feel unsafe. You can know one grade is not the end of your life, and still feel like your future is collapsing. This is not hypocrisy. It is biology. And the more you judge yourself for it, the stronger the loop becomes, because self-judgment feels like another threat. Here is a simple model you can use anytime emotions feel like a storm. Emotions usually have 3 layers. First, the body signal. Chest tightness, heat, nausea, shallow breath, tension, shaking. Second, the story. What your mind says this means. They do not like me. I am behind. I am not enough. I am going to lose this. Third, the urge. The impulse to do something now. Text them 5 times. Avoid the room. Cancel plans. Snap back. Scroll. Eat. Prove yourself. When people say emotions feel uncontrollable, they often mean the urge feels uncontrollable. So instead of fighting the whole storm, we focus on the layer we can work with first. The body signal, then the story, then the urge. Let's slow down and look at the body layer more closely. Your nervous system is like a volume knob for emotion. If you are already sleep deprived, hungry, overstimulated, lonely, or burned out, the knob is turned up. So a small trigger feels huge. A normal comment feels personal. A minor setback feels like proof you are failing. That is not because you are sensitive in a bad way. It is because your system has less buffer. And buffer is not a personality trait. Buffer is a resource. You can build it, protect it, and restore it. That is why emotional regulation is not just mindset. It is also lifestyle, boundaries, recovery, and nervous system care. Now let's talk about the story layer because this is where overthinking loves to live. Your brain hates uncertainty. Uncertainty feels like danger because it prevents prediction. So your mind will try to close the gap with a story. Even a painful story can feel better than not knowing. That is why people spiral after a short reply. Because the mind goes, I do not know what this means, so I will guess. And I will guess the worst. Not because you are negative. Because negativity feels like preparation. If I expect pain, I will not be surprised by pain. But here is the catch. Your brain confuses preparation with protection. You can think for hours and still not feel safe. Because safety is not a thought. Safety is a state in your nervous system. So how do we actually regain control when emotions hit? Not control like domination. Control like guidance. Here is the first step. And it is deceptively powerful. Name what is happening, out loud if you can. Not a dramatic label, just accurate language. This is anxiety. This is shame. This is disappointment. This is grief. This is anger. This is fear. Why does naming help? Because it recruits the parts of your brain that organize and make meaning. It also creates a tiny distance between you and the feeling. Instead of I am anxious, it becomes anxiety is here. And that small shift matters. Because you are not anxiety. You are the person noticing anxiety. Here is the second step. Give your body a signal of safety. Not by forcing calm but by slowing the threat response. Try this. Let your next inhale be normal. Then let your exhale be longer, like you are gently fogging a mirror. Do that 2 or 3 times. Not to make the feeling vanish. Just to tell your nervous system we are not sprinting right now. If you want an even simpler method, use your senses. Look for 5 things you can see. 4 things you can feel. 3 things you can hear. 2 things you can smell. 1 thing you can taste. This works because threat pulls you into your head and into the future. Senses bring you back into the present. And your nervous system can only calm down in the present, not in an imagined disaster. Now the third step, and this is where people get their power back. Choose a smaller next move than your emotion demands. Emotions often demand extremes. Run. Fix it now. Say something sharp. Disappear. Prove yourself. But you can choose a smaller move. If anxiety demands you send 10 messages, choose 1 message or none, and wait 10 minutes. If shame demands you hide, choose 1 small act of presence. If anger demands you explode, choose a pause, a glass of water, a walk to the bathroom, a reset. This is not suppression. This is leadership. You are telling your brain I hear you, and I am still choosing the next step. That is what regulation is. Not the absence of emotion, the presence of choice. Let's do another real-life example, relationships, because relationships light up the nervous system faster than almost anything. You send a message, then hours pass. No reply. Your mind starts painting scenes. Maybe they are losing interest. Maybe I said something wrong. Maybe I am being annoying. Maybe I am not important. Your body reacts like a social emergency, because for humans belonging has always been survival. So your urge rises. Double text. Check their status. Refresh. Replay your last message. Here is the move. Name it. This is attachment anxiety. Then regulate your body. Long exhale. Then challenge the story gently. Not by saying, everything is fine, but by saying, I do not have enough information yet. Then choose the smaller move. Wait 20 minutes. Do one grounding task. Let time give you data. This is how you teach your brain that uncertainty is not catastrophe. Now a student example, because school pressure can turn emotions into a constant background hum. You have deadlines, exams, group projects, and the silent fear of falling behind. Sometimes you are not even reacting to a single event. You are reacting to accumulated pressure. 1,000 tiny moments of tension, stacking. So your emotions start spilling in weird places. You snap at friends. You cry in the shower. You go numb. You procrastinate. And then you blame yourself. But often procrastination is not laziness. It is emotional avoidance. It is your brain trying to escape the feeling of overwhelm. So the question becomes, what feeling am I trying not to feel? Maybe it is fear of failure. Maybe it is shame. Maybe it is the pressure of expectation. When you find the emotion under the behavior, you can address the real problem, not just the symptom. Here is the part that changes everything for a lot of people. Emotions are not random. They are patterned. Your brain learns emotional patterns through repetition. If you grew up having to stay alert, your nervous system may default to vigilance. If you grew up feeling judged, your nervous system may default to shame. If love felt inconsistent, your nervous system may default to anxiety. If emotions were punished, your nervous system may default to numbness. These are not character flaws. They are learned survival strategies. They worked once in some environment. Now, they may be overfiring. So when you feel out of control, it helps to ask, what is my system trying to protect me from? And what is it afraid would happen if I did not feel this way? Let's talk about the myth that you should be able to think your way out of emotions. If logic worked like a switch, everyone would be calm all the time. But your brain does not update through arguments alone. It updates through experience. Through repeated moments where you feel the alarm, and you do not obey it, and you survive. That is how the nervous system learns. I can feel anxiety and still speak. I can feel shame and still show up. I can feel sadness and still keep going. I can feel anger and still choose my response. So if you have tried to control your emotions by scolding yourself, and it did not work, that is not a personal failure. That is just not how learning happens inside the body. Now I want to give you a tool you can carry into your day. Something simple. It is called the pause and label. When you notice the spike, pause. Just for 2 seconds. Then label the urge. I want to fix this now. I want to escape. I want to prove something. I want to punish myself. Labeling the urge is powerful because it turns reaction into observation. And observation creates space. Then ask one question. What is the smallest wise thing I can do next? Not the perfect thing. Not the ultimate solution. Just the smallest wise move. Drink water. Stand up. Write one sentence. Send one message. Close the app. Step outside. Set a timer for 10 minutes. This is how you build self-trust. Because self-trust is not built by being calm. It is built by showing up for yourself when you are not calm. Let's be honest for a moment. Sometimes emotions feel uncontrollable, because the emotion is not just about now. It is about then. A current moment touches an old wound. A tone of voice sounds like someone who hurt you. A rejection feels like every rejection you ever felt. A mistake feels like every time you were shamed. So your reaction is bigger than the situation, because it is carrying history. This is why people say, I know it is not a big deal, but I cannot stop feeling it. Your brain is not reacting to the present alone. It is reacting to a pattern it recognizes. The healing move is not to shame the reaction. The healing move is to meet it with curiosity. What is this reminding me of? What am I protecting? What do I need right now to feel safe enough to respond, not react? Now a quick guided moment, right here, even if you are listening while doing something else. If you can, relax your shoulders a little. Let your jaw unclench. Let your breath move naturally. Now think of a recent moment where you felt out of control emotionally. Just a light version, nothing overwhelming. Notice where your body feels it. Chest, stomach, throat, face. Now label the emotion in a few words. Anxiety, anger, shame, sadness. Now say this quietly in your mind. This is a nervous system response, not a personal flaw. Then, ask, what would I do if I trusted myself, even with this feeling here? Let an answer come, even if it is small. That is your next move. That is your control returning, not through force, through direction. Here is what I want you to remember after this episode. Emotions feel uncontrollable, because they are fast, embodied, and protective. They start before language. They rise as waves. They push urges. But you can influence them. By naming them. By lowering arousal in your body. By questioning the story gently. By choosing a smaller next move than the emotion demands. And by practicing this repeatedly, until your brain learns a new pattern. Less panic. More clarity. Less self-blame. More choice. This is not about becoming fearless. This is about becoming steady. Before we close, one more important note. If your emotions feel intense all the time, or you feel unsafe, or you are dealing with panic, trauma, or thoughts of hurting yourself, you deserve real support from a qualified professional. This space is for education, clarity, and self-understanding, not a replacement for care. And even if your struggle is not extreme, you still deserve kindness in how you speak to yourself. Because shame never regulated anyone into peace. Clarity does. Practice does. Support does. Tomorrow we will continue, and we will go deeper into what happens inside the brain when a trigger hits, and why your mind replays the same thoughts like a broken record, and how to interrupt that loop without fighting yourself. For now, take one thing from today and use it once. Just once. Name the feeling. Long exhale. Small wise next move. That is enough. That is how change starts, quietly, consistently, and with less self-blame.